it was a little bit easier getting punched in the face. At least you didn't see the knife coming through your back. So usually I like to post think pieces. And what I found is those are what get me in the trouble the most, because that's when everybody starts putting their opinion out there. It's like, like the last posted, they were like, oh, look at what she said. And I was like, why don't you guys do your homework a little better? Like, it doesn't say Republican and conservative in that post, like boxers headhunt sometimes and they forget to go to the body. I feel like Disney or Lucasfilm or whoever it is, maybe just certain people in that company, I feel like I've been being headhunted for the last, I don't know how many months.
Well, when you think you could take a moment to breathe under the Gina Carano story, it just gets deeper and deeper every day. And, the attacks are still coming. And, finally we're getting to hear from her directly the exact story, what happened, how she feels about it, what is Disney thinking to this situation. And first of all, before we start, we are going to show a couple of clips, not many. We're not going to go through everything, but I encourage you, if you want to see there is an hour-part video here on YouTube, and I'll put the link below on the Ben Shapiro channel. And I think there's a little bit more on the Daily Wire, but of course, that is a subscription. That's up to you if you want to subscribe. Ben Shapiro, you know him very well, And I'll tell you straight out, there are things that I agree with him, and there are things that I disagree with him. And that's the thing about, in the country we live in, and everything is that we can have our own voice. We can speak things. We can have our own opinion. But it seems like lately there are those that that are hanging around that just basically don't want just their opinions forward, and no one else can have a different opinion other than what they say. And these people will cancel you out. They'll cancel your job. I mean, I myself have talked to a couple friends who are in the business, and I would have loved to have them come on, but unfortunately they said it. They can't speak about these things because basically, people start to go delving into their lives and start, they have jobs, and unfortunately, until they can figure out a way of getting around this situation and stuff like that, they got to keep low key for now. And I can understand that, and I don't press upon them for that. But eventually, when they're able, they'll seek me out or seek someone out, and they can talk to and be able to tell you their stories, because there are many stories. I've been on that end of the business, and I've seen some stuff growing up in the business that is just it's not an easy business. It's gotten even more political now than it was years ago, but it's always been a cutthroat business. And when you look at the situations that are going on now, I mean, you look at a company that's struggling financially, and they take the moment to let someone go and don't even tell them. They allow Twitter to tell them, or like a newspaper article to tell them that they're fired.
They announced publicly that you're not coming back after this post that you put on social media, and we'll get to the content of the post in just a second. Did they ever come to you and ask for an apology? Did they ever come to you and coordinate with you in any way, or did you just essentially pick up a newspaper one day and you read that you were no longer on the show?
I looked on the internet, and you check your Twitter, and I'm trending, and the Fire Gina Carano hashtag worked.
So Disney never contacted you and asked for some sort of back down or some sort of explanation. It was just, you're done, and you find out essentially the same way everybody else did?
Well, yeah. I mean, I saw somebody from the company accidentally sent me a conversation of that they were tracking the Fire Gina Carano hashtag.
Not even in their face. And they've been making money for this company. I mean, right now, Gina Carano is trending #1 still on IMDb. Her toy line, the Star Wars figurines, they're selling out like crazy at high prices and numbers. And Disney have pulled back. I would assume pulled back from Amazon and stuff like that. Told them to stop selling it. Hasbro has canceled a couple of the figures. I mean, this is something when you're making money. How can you take away from making, if you're making money and you decide, well, I don't want to deal with it anymore, boom. I mean, it is just insane what they're doing. I mean, they're burning down. And you know the situation, and when you hear the interview and stuff like that, you know, there are several people that were responsible for this. And, you know, basically when it comes down to the end of it, you know it's Kathleen Kennedy. You know it is her. Because this is the mentality that she has in this business. You know, she will let Disney burn. She will let Lucasfilm burn before she allows someone that differs than her opinion into the business. I mean, this is, you know, strong. We have to have strong women. You've seen what happened when she said on the Oscar thing, where she's, you know, she's talking strong women, but she fired the strongest woman she can have in the business. This is a woman who speaks her own opinion. She has her own opinion. She is not racist. You know, people like say, well, she said, you know, to the situation, she was transformed, she beat boop bop. No, the actual thing is, when you have people yelling at you, what's your pronoun? How come you don't have pronoun in your Twitter on there? And, you know, you're pushed onto this, and you just say, okay, you want one here, beep boop bop, which is, you know, like what R2 would say, you know, if you hear that. FBI, open up! That's what's on there. It's nothing racist. It's nothing against anybody. But yet, you know, Disney has a board that handles, you know, Rainbow Coalition here of any of those issues, which I find that very highly offensive. Listen, I have friends who are gay, lesbian, a couple of people I know who are trans. I have nothing against them. And some of them will tell you, listen, I don't know why you guys are highlighting, you know, they'll say, why are you highlighting us? We don't want to talk about our lives. Would you, let me put it in this perspective. Would you like someone to have and tell about what your sexual preference is? What nationality you might like, if you like Asians or something like that? Would you like that? Or what sexual position you like?
No, sir, I didn't like it.
No, you don't. And it's the same thing with this. You don't, you know, if you're gay, okay, you're fine. Beautiful. You're gay. You don't need to know. If I'm hiring somebody, I don't need to know if they're gay. I want to hire them to make sure if they could do the correct job. Can they do the job? What can they bring to the company? That's the important part. You know, all this where you have to have this person, that person, this person, that person hired in your company. That's wrong. We're delving into back into segregation, and people don't realize that. You're putting people into groups again. And that is the wrong thing to do. You know, and you look at the situation and you hear about that, you know, they wanted Gina to apologize on a Zoom call.
You think I want to get on a video where they can then film it, you know? And I felt very kind of insecure about that. So what I offered them was, you know, the restaurants at the time had, you know, started opening back up. And I was like, let me take, you know, 4 or 5 of them out to dinner, and it'd be a person to person. You can look me in my eyes, I can look you in your eyes, and let's have a genuine conversation.
A Zoom call, 40 people. She offered to take some of them out to lunch and talk to them directly. This is, you know what this sounds like? This sounds like the whole Joe Rogan situation at Spotify, where all the employees there, well, we don't want Alex Jones on his program. We don't want this one. It ain't your program. It ain't your company. Understand that you work for the company. Those are at Spotify. You work for Spotify. Spotify doesn't work for you. Those at Disney, you work for Disney. Disney does not work for you.
Brilliant! Thank you! Thank you!
Understand that. This is the mentality. This is, all these social media companies, all these computer firms, all these organizations and companies that this is happening to. Where are the investors at this point? Where are the board of directors in all these companies? And I'll tell you why it is. Because some of them that are in these boards are the same type of people that are executing all these issues. The investors need to step up and to say, you know something, I'm going to take my money elsewhere. Because basically, you're not looking for the health of this company. The health of the company. That's what comes first. Not to the situation of what bios you put on your Twitter feed. You fired somebody and didn't even tell them in their face. Holy crap. If it was me, I would have burst down the executive room during that investors call and freaking start screaming to my top lungs to find out why the hell was I, that I was basically, dissed. In old terminology. Why was I dissed?
What's going on here? Oh,
Sir, I'm arrested.
I mean, this is a person who, from what I've seen, from the interviews, from the talks on Twitter and stuff like that, she seems to be very nice. This is a woman who cleared the way in MMA for other. You wouldn't have a Ronda Rousey or any of the other women in this business if it wasn't for Gina Carano. People don't even see. You don't Google these things. You don't look it up. You don't Google. We had an article the other day. Proved it. They said Chun-Li. Why is Chun-Li not in Mortal Kombat? Well, the reason is Chun-Li's not in Mortal Kombat because she's in Street Fighter. This is the stupidity of people online. I'm not saying all people are stupid, but there are a good amount of people. They just sit there, they get triggered by a word, beep bop, and then you just go, oh my God, that's totally against trans people. How is that against trans people? Tell me, how is that against trans people? You're saying that R2-D2 is racist? Are you saying any of the robots on Star Wars are racist because they're going beep, bop, boop, bop, boop, bop? This is the stuff that, this is why Twitter needs to go away. Really, truly, it needs to go away. You have a head of Twitter that is just as worse as some of the people that are on there. These Twitter Puritans, they think that they have control. They've jumped into our fandoms, and we told them, we don't want you here. We don't want you here.
They say, nice hobby that you have. It's a little bit sexist, don't you think? Maybe you better let us in to fix it. Bitch, it wasn't made for you. You had no business coming in here and ruining it.
Go away. And then they send media trainers to her, and basically, they start trying to, how do you call it? It sounds like tactics out of a good old World War II movie. Because they're trying to fix the situation. What does it need fixing? The only fixing it is you drag yourselves back to Twitter, drag yourself to the employees on there, give them a post of the employee handbook. Because what you've done, and I'll tell you, it's in the employee handbook. You can look this up. Bullying and harassing. I'm going to read this directly from the corporate manual, the employee handbook. Okay? Employees are expected to treat others in the workplace with respect and must not engage in harassing or bullying behavior. This policy encompasses the behavior that is prohibited by law and the behavior that will not be necessary unlawful, nevertheless violates the company's standards for workplace conduct. This policy applies to the workplace, both on and off the company property, and in other settings in which employees may find themselves connected with their jobs or that it may impact the workplace, which can occur after work hours away from the regular workplace. And there's even a section on bullying. Abusive conduct, often referred as bullying, is a type of conduct that may not be unlawful but is against the company policy. Bullying need not to be related to a protected category. Bullying in the workplace includes repeated making derogatory and insulted remarks intended to targeting, isolating, and let me repeat that for you. Insults, remarks intended to targeting, isolation, serious or repeated verbal or physical contact that could reasonably be considered threatening, intimidating, or humiliating, or intended sabotaging or undermining another work's performance. This is in the corporate lingo of the Disney company. You yourself, you, my viewers, can go and Google this yourself and read the entire thing. There is another section about based on protected category, but it all reads the same. It all reads the same. Disney allowed people to violate their own policy. Now, I'm not a lawyer or anything like that, but we have heard from Ricada Law. Is there a loss of the situation? It's a fine line, and he says it's a fine line. It's not really there. You would have to, how can I put it? There has to be a presence of that situation. So it's not something that you can go back and say law. But let me put in this situation. And this comes to going toward the investors and those above. And I'm talking about above Kathleen Kennedy's head. You have allowed people under her position to violate this policy. And basically you have done nothing to remedy it. This is what I say. Those who have invested in the Disney Corporation, it's your money on there. But if it was me, I would be withdrawing my money. You know, we need Abigail Disney in here. She really does. You know, she's a person who's for the employee. You know, maybe we need the Disney family back in charge again. Because Bob Iger has done nothing for this company. All he's done is just destroy the company. You know, they're having issues left and right. They don't even know what to do with the Muppets. Yeah, they brought back the Muppet Show online. But still, there is no new programming that they're trying to do. They're trying to play with this around what they can, but this is an IP that even the Henson family doesn't even want. I mean, you're looking at someone, and we're going back to Gina Carano here, that they wanted her gone months ago. And if you talk about, you know, the posts and stuff like that, oh yeah, it was like, you know, that basically, you know, that Holocaust thing she put up, and that was very, very anti-Semitic and stuff like that. Let's take a look at it real quick. Let's go through this, and I'm going to replace the word with Razi, so you know what it is. Jews were beaten in the streets not by Razis, soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. Because history is edited, most people today don't realize to get to that point where Razis could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jewish. How different is that from someone hating for their political views? And you look at that situation, and people are saying, "Wow, it sounds anti-Semitic." Well, let's put it in this perspective. This is from the Auschwitz Memorial. if anything that knows about what happened during the Second World War would be the memorial of the Auschwitz Center. And they tweeted afterwards. And what they said was, when we look at Auschwitz, we see the end of the process. It is important to remember that the Holocaust actually did not start from the gas chambers. This hatred gradually developed from the words, stereotypes, prejudice through legal exclusion, dehumanization, and escalating violence. The hatred gradually developed from the words, stereotypes, and prejudice through legal exclusion, dehumanization, and escalating violence. It's pretty much the same thing what Gina said. What are we going through right now? You may ask yourself, okay, what's your political view? I'm not going to give you my political view. It doesn't matter what my political view. Do you care what my political view is? No. But I'm going to tell you the situation here. You have people that are going to sit there, and if you don't agree with them, they're doing exactly what is said here. This hatred gradually developed from the words, stereotypes, and prejudice through legal exclusion, dehumanization, escalating violence. Now let's take this situation. Words, stereotypes. Are they saying, hey, Coca-Cola just messed up this week, and they're saying, be less white? That's very racist. They're telling you not to be white. And that's other people says, they say, apologize because you're white. This is the words that are coming out. This is not me. This is the words that are coming out there. Everyone's saying, well, white people, they're all racist, they're all slave owners and stuff like that. Do you know history? Take a moment and Google slavery. And you'll be surprised what you find. You'll be very surprised. Actually, don't even use Google. Use DuckDuckGo. You'll get a better result. Prejudice through legal exclusion. Legal exclusion. There are people who have lost their bank accounts because people called those banks and told them, listen, you have people who believe in this, that, and the other thing. And I don't think they should be your customers. What do you think that is? What do you think that is where people like Alex Jones and many others who have been taken off YouTube, Twitter, Facebook? What do you think that is? Legal exclusion and dehumanization. Dehumanization is what the Twitter Puritans do online. They sit there and they don't like you. They don't like that you don't put pronouns in your biopics. So they're going to dehumanize you. Now, the last section, escalating violence, that's been going on for quite some time now. And people haven't been called out on this. If anything, they've been pulled back and said that basically, oh, it's okay, they're angry, let them riot. But then what happened on January 6th, which, we're not going to delve into that. They were like, oh no, we had a riot, oh my God. And they freaked out. The same people. So which is it? Is the rioting good or bad? It's like what Shapiro says. It depends on where you are on what side of the value. And you have a situation going back to this, to the post. You had Pedro Pascal put up a Holocaust sheet as well, where there were kids in cages and all that. And he made the same type of remark, but on the left, from a left-leaning point of view. Nobody chastised him for that in the Disney company. Nobody asked him to remove that. This is the hypocrisy of what's going on in Disney right now. You have a situation where people in Disney that basically that have one ideology, And if they don't like on it, and the thing about it is, and here's the kicker. In those posts that you just saw from Miss Carano, did it say left? Did it say right? No, it didn't. It didn't say Democrats. It didn't say Republicans. It said that there are people who are doing the same, what it is, for their political views. Not conservative, not Republican, political views. That is exactly what has been said. How is that different from hating someone for their political views? See, people twist things. They twist them, they turn them. You know, one of the other things they said, oh, she's anti-mask. She didn't say anything about anti-mask. What she said was basically, we should start making our own masks so the masks that come in for purchase can be given to our healthcare workers. That's not anti-mask. That's not at all anti-mask. And there are many different other posts that she's done that, you know, have nothing to do with what they said. People believe everything. And, you know, and I've seen this in my Facebook posts. That people were saying that they were upset with her. They said, "Oh no, she's a no good. She's a no good actress. She's a no nothing actress," and stuff like that. You know, and this and that and the other thing. You know, she's trumpet and stuff like that. But she never said she was. He now turned her into a conservative because basically you've seen what's gone on the other side. She never voted. She even said that, you know, the recent election is the first time she's ever voted. You know,
But it was my first time voting. I have never voted before. And I know I'm late to the game here, but I never really thought that.
that is the first time she ever voted. You know, when she posts online, they're think pieces. They make you think on things that are going around, which is a good thing. You know, it's like, oh shit, this is happening. It is. People are scared to talk their views. Do you know? And she said it. There are people who are in the Lucasfilm that don't want to lose their jobs. They don't want to speak out because they're afraid that they're going to be canceled out. Look what perfect example. Gina was not fired directly. She was indirectly fired. And then her talent agency, the people that handle her, let her go as well. And it'll be hard for her to get another talent agent to freaking take up her job because the company she did, they're going to blackball her. There's only two major companies that will be able to handle it, and guaranteed they're not going to hire her, and they're going to make sure other companies are not going to take her. It's plain and simple. And you know, for Ben Shapiro to give her a job is a great thing. And people are scared. They're all horrified of this situation. Said, oh my God. You know, hey, he gave her a job. And if the movie is good, okay, great. If the movie is bad, still great, because they were able to produce it. Because that's the problem right now. They're spending millions and millions on these movies that are crap all there. And you've seen Once Last, you've seen Mulan. You know, they talk about the situations, the racism and stuff like that. But meanwhile, Disney filmed the movie at a concentration camp in China where Uyghurs are being killed and horrible tortures that have gone on. You know, when they say World War II, we never want to ever let it happen again. It is happening again. When will people get it in their thick mind? The UN has done nothing for this. Most of the other countries have turned their backs on this. The current president here is okay with it. If you've heard his words, it's basically, it's their country. Let them hash it out. This is the same thing that happened in the Second World War. Look it up. It's in the history books. People are going to tell you this day in and day out. Now it's nothing like that. Yes, it is. The way it has come around, much different because of technology and the way things are around the world. And the players are all different. But the ideologies are all the same again. Just different players. You can see the emotion on Miss Carano. And I could tell that basically what they did to her is very detrimental. And recently there was an article in Hollywood Reporter. Now they're going after her family. You say, no, they're a rich family and stuff like that. Do you know who her father is? Her father is Glenn Carano, obviously last name Carano. He was a quarterback for 7 seasons on the Dallas Cowboys team. America's team. Do you understand that? The Dallas Cowboys was always considered America's team. And now they're after him and his family because they work in the casino industry. Oh, what do you think? They're freaking good fellas? I mean, it is amazing the thought processes that people go through. They start to go through, and I've said this once, and I'll say it again. This is like that Twilight Zone episode.
So now, a young man named Alfred Brewster. That's right, been with you about 1.5 years. Man's a communist. He should be discharged immediately.
It's like that Twilight Zone episode where the guy is sitting on the phone calling people saying, oh, he's a communist, he's this, he's that, and that. And you know how that ended? That ended, oh boy, that ended, horrible for that guy. But that's what was going on. But that's what's going on. You have people calling, well, they're using Twitter to try to push down people. You had a guy on the radio talking about the fandom. They were talking about Nerdrotic, Ricada Law, and stuff like that. They said, oh, these are guys in their mother's basements. Will never have families. They're going to live lonely for the rest of their lives and stuff like that. Most of the people he mentioned on that are married with kids. They said, oh, they're little figurines and they're DVDs and stuff like that. They make it like collecting DVDs and figurines are a sin. Meanwhile, he's sitting there drinking during the episode. Go ahead, drink all you want. Drink all you want, This is the propaganda, and I call it propaganda because this is what happens. They use propaganda against you. They post these things. Mainstream media posts these things against you that they're attacking day in, day out. The other episode that we talked about Gina Carano, you saw the clips that I gave you from the news sources and from interviews, and the way they were treating her. They're like, oh, she was abhorrent and this and that. From what? Tell me what was wrong with that particular post. It is not anti-Semitic. It's telling you that basically there are people around who basically are not allowing you to speak your piece. I think it was Voltaire that said, I may not agree with your position, but I will fight for your right to say it. I believe that's the saying on there. I may get it a little wrong, but you know the gist of it. You, me, we can have our opinions. I may not agree with your opinions, and you may not agree with mine. But that's why in this country, that's how the way we're supposed to revolve around. That is in the Bill of Rights, our Constitution, all that's been written for years, but people want to twist and turn it, and they just want to get rid of it. They want to get rid of all the amendments. They want to get rid of freedom of speech. There was already stuff being pulled into California. Thank God people got smart over there, and basically it stopped most of that from happening. Now, from a fandom point of view, this is the reason why these shows, these movies, Star Wars and The Expanse and Doctor Who and all these other that are beginning to, that some have already failed, some are beginning to fail, because of all this rhetoric of, we have to have it in this direction. We have to have this person this way.
Left-wing activists came in and decided to take over this industry, spit in your faces, and destroy what you loved.
They said, oh no, we have to have it this way. But look what they did to Finn. Look what they did to Boyega. He should have been the main premise of the video. The way the trailer looked, I thought Boyega was going to be the main focus of the entire story. I thought he was going to become the Jedi. No, they had to have Rey and make her a Skywalker. Totally just burned the entire thing. And the same thing with Doctor Who. That's what they did with Doctor Who. They burnt the bridges behind them. They took a story, created it further, turned back, tossed kerosene on everything that was behind it, and let the bridge burn down so you don't have to deal with it anymore. Oh, believe me, they're not done. They're not done destroying this. I'm sorry that George Lucas has to see that. He knows, he sees it, that what they've done to his masterpiece. You think The Mandalorian is going to be any better going forward? Hell no. Do you think we're going to get an Ahsoka series? Maybe. If they don't cancel out Rosario Dawson, she's going to be next. I guarantee you, she's going to be next. They're going to go after her next because they don't like what happened with her in her personal business. And we don't have to go into her personal business on there because it's already been pretty much resolved. It's the same thing with Johnny Depp. It's the same thing with Vic Mignogna and many others that have been tried in the Twitter Puritan court. That they should go away, they should be destroyed. But that's hateful. It's very hateful. And this is why I've said Hollywood is done. They're just done. There are no more directors left, really. Maybe two. I say maybe two. Let's give it to that. Let's give it in that perspective. Are there really any true? And I'm not talking about that it's your favorite. I'm talking about an actor out there like it was back in the day. When you hear Robert Redford is in the movie, or basically Vanessa Redgrave, or Helen Mirren. And we haven't even done with Helen Mirren yet, and I'm upset with her about something else separately. But you look at the movies, and they're like, well, yeah, it's John Boyega, it's this one, and there's that one, and all that. And that's how it is, the movies now. There's no oomph to the movie. So I'm hoping now that the independents start coming out of this. The independent movies, the small budget, the low budget. We don't need that multi-billion-dollar budget. Because when you look across the seas, over in a nice little country called Japan, you have a little anime called Demon Slayer, who made $300 million in just Japan alone. Then coming back here, there was a horror film from 2019 that got into the theaters a little late into the 2020 during the pandemic, called The Wretch. The Wretch! Nice little indie horror film. played in drive-ins. About $66,000 to make $4.3 million. Doesn't sound a lot, but 66,000, 4.3 million minus 66,000. That's a nice hefty profit. That's a nice hefty profit. If you want to see it, it's on Hulu these days. And the story, it is a good story. My wife enjoyed it. And there's been many other films. I mean, you can go all the way, and I'm pissed off at Kevin Smith these days, but Kevin Smith, no budget movie, made Clerks. So damn straight Hollywood is scared. Damn straight Disney is scared right now of Gina Carano. And actually, Disney's right now scared of John Lasseter because he just got uncanceled because he just made a big deal with Skydance and Apple TV. But meanwhile, in the back room, Disney's burning their bridges with their animation stuff. Company that did Ice Age, and movie Ice Age, and a couple of others. It was a good animation house. But yeah, that's what some of these companies are. They buy these up, and quoting Judge Toon in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, yeah, I bought it to dismantle it. Get rid of the competition. Well, that's not how we work. Competition is what you need to thrive because you better yourself, you improve it, you slam down on it every time. You may hear the anger in my voice, and that's right, there is anger in my voice because for something like this to happen in this business, if this happened in the 80s, oh boy, a lot of people would be fired right about now. There would be a lot of people on their way to the unemployment line for this. You know, there's no getting rid of Kathleen Kennedy at this point. And, you know, when you have all the things that they throw at you, you think you're going to get an Obi-Wan story? Psh, you'll be surprised. That Ranger stuff, I'll be surprised. You know, Ahsoka, I think that's out the window. And everything else. I mean, Rian Johnson thinks he's still going to get a trilogy. I think it was like said the other night that I said on Drunk 3PO's chat room with Geeks and Gamers. I put up and I said, it's like the guy in Office Space.
And I told Dom, too, because they've moved my desk 4 times already this year, and I used to be over by the window, and I could see the squirrels, and they were married. But
the guy they haven't told that they haven't fired him. They fired him, but he doesn't know that he got fired. Funny movie too. Oh boy. So again, take it how it is. Hopefully she will do well. And I know she will do well. She's a strong woman. Very strong woman. And she's a nice, kind person. But see, this world doesn't like kind people anymore. They want your pronouns. They want to know, you know, they want you to be bisexual, this and that. They want to re-educate you. We haven't even gotten into that yet. When people says make lists, and this is our politicians that are talking about this, you can look it up. They say we need to make lists of people. Guess who else made lists of people? Yes, that's right. History repeats itself. But there's a little difference this time. Most of us are not going to sit back and let it happen. And we're going to keep telling you these things. And we're going to continue to keep telling you until we can't tell you anymore, but we're going to do our best to make sure that message gets out. They're going to have to shut us down completely. Completely. And even when they do that, we're still going to come back around. Ask Alex Jones. They tried erasing him. He's still around. Just because you don't see him on any of the major platforms, he still has his viewers and he's still online. And like I said, there are things I agree with him and disagree, and I'm allowed to do that, and so are you. So you've reached this portion of the video. I thank you for taking this moment to listen to this rant. And yeah, it is a rant because I'm very upset. Don't forget, hit that subscription, hit that like, comment below. Give me your feelings. Sure to hit the notification bell so you know when new episodes of Man with the Show airs. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for taking this moment with us. And if you get a moment, give a little praise to Gina. Go over to her Twitter and tell her how much you care. And I really truly mean it. If you care about somebody that way, you see that she's been wrong, give her a little love. Because that, she'll send it right on back to you. Have a good one. Bye-bye now.